This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Hernani Motrick, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner and fun. That is Doc from Doc and Jock. And I have recovered since nobody showed up for my birthday party, by the way, a week ago. I'll just say that much. Doc, you take it from there.
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Always enjoy the Two Bad Hombres recording. In studio with us, Kevin Manglos. You heard him earlier this week on the Tigers Talk podcast. He's sitting in this week. He's about to experience a wild ride. He don't know what's about to come in our conversation. And what a story that was, Vito. Look, I don't like to be the skeptical guy. I don't like to be the guy that's all, negative about it. But when I saw that picture of that young lad, I think he was like 7, 8 years old.
Young kid, little boy, yeah.
Why did the mother take that photo? Why did she post it online? Now, look, he was able to get some benefits, and a lot of people felt sorry for him. But I just feel like in that situation, how is it possible that nobody shows up to your kid's birthday? You don't have a single cousin, a friend, a confidant, anybody that would want to come. And so the story is, for those that don't know, this boy and the family had set up a birthday party, and he had invited about 30 kids from his class, and nobody showed up. And so the mom, plasters this photo of this poor boy sitting there with 3 pizzas, 30 plates, and she posted all online, and a lot of people felt sorry for the boy and wished him a happy birthday. The Phoenix Suns had treated him to a game and made him a VIP. A lot of people felt sorry for him, but some people did say, why on earth is this mom posting this photo when, you know what, if nobody shows up, you just go home and talk to a family member? I feel like it was staged for attention. A lot of what we see this day and age in 2018.
It was staged. It was a PR stunt. And then the Suns bid on it? I mean, come on, they were duped that much where they gave them seats to a game, Doc, you were saying? I didn't realize that about the Suns. But, man, they were duped. And a lot of people, I think, were duped because, like you said, it goes back to your point earlier where nobody shows up for your son's birthday when you invited, like, his whole entire class. Come on. That's not going to happen. They staged that photo to make it look worse than it really was. And, well, just to make it look horrible and to make everybody feel bad for this kid. And then the kid got some perks, probably that the mom wanted as well, by the way. That's how I view it, Kevin.
Yeah, when I first saw the picture, the thing that struck out to me was, so here's the boy, and then, running down the table, parallel lines are all the paper plates, and there's pizza sitting out there. And my first actual thought was, I've been to a lot of kids' birthday parties. They don't even break that stuff out until everyone shows up, and everyone's always coming in late, and then they bring the food out. So it's almost like the mother said, oh, yeah, go ahead, continue to lay this out because I'm staging a shot. So, yeah, I call bunk on that. I don't think it can be real. And even if it is the mother, shame on her.
Shame on her to get all the PR for really herself, her son. And you want your son, your kid's right to live in glory, have all the perks, the bells and whistles. So you want to see your kid succeed. But you're not allowing him to succeed. Now he's probably thinking right in the back of his head, oh, my mom's going to do this for me the rest of my life. Right? That's not a good thing that you're establishing with your son, too.
Yeah, and who has a birthday party devoid of any family members? Not one family member, a cousin,
well, I could see where it was
sister.
a birthday party with kids from school. I mean, I had those growing up. I don't know if you guys did. I'm a little bit younger.
Like two birthdays?
Yeah, where like when you were younger in grade school, you invited the kids from your class. Like to be nice, all the kids came, and it was a fun kid birthday party. So it was separate from the family birthday party. So I'm not going to say there should have been family members there, but come on, you mean, a classroom is how many kids make up a classroom? 15 kids at least, let's say. So you invited 14 other kids. You mean that not 1 or 2 or 3 of them could show up that day when you had the birthday party? Come on. I don't believe that either.
Yeah, nobody believes it. And look, even if we are cynical, I just think there are some things you do for attention and some things you just have to let go of. And that was a situation in which you don't have to. And I know I'm one to talk because I post a lot of stuff online, but not everything that you think or happens in your life needs to be posted online. And sometimes we do have to remember that you have to have some discretion in deciding what you want to put online, and especially with kids. to embarrass a kid or to have people feel sorry for you for that. You know what? If it happens, if it's real, then you just go home and you save the money and don't buy the pizzas and things like that. You just wait it out. Don't buy the pizzas, move on, and you can, enjoy other quality times with your family or different times if it didn't work out.
And the kid doesn't realize what you're doing at that stage in his life or her life. So the kid's there's this PR stunt being made involving him. He has no clue what's being done. And then he has to live with the repercussions later on. Well, when he realizes or is old enough to realize I can go on Twitter and find out what was said about me back then he's looking up all this stuff, and all these people are calling him a fraud. And he's a little child. That's not right either, where people were attacking him and his mom, but can we call it BS? I think we can still call it BS, though, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm going to call it BS. And, whatever the mother's motivations were, I guess only she can answer for those. But, talk about the wrong message to send to a child.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times in this life when you are wronged and there is no redemption. So I think that it's probably the worst message you can send. Like, you are getting all of this attention because something bad happened to you. Well, there's a lot of times in life where there is no redemption for that. You just have to pick up and move on.
Now, Kevin, I'm so glad you're here because I got an opportunity to pick your brain. You got experience now being a married guy. I definitely want to get some counsel from you and ask some questions. Now, for me, in terms of how much guy time I'm allowed from my wife, because we all, Vito, you not being married, I can tell you that, look, when you start, spending a lot of time with your friends or start asking for, time to watch football or time to go to the fella's house and watch Monday Night Football, and you're not there at home, they start to bring up some things that you don't do. Like, you forgot to take out the garbage last week, or I've told you 80 times to take your, shoes off in front of the house, or you haven't done this and you haven't done that. We haven't gone on a date in 4 months. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So for what I've done, and I've been really good at it, is with my wife is, in terms of trying to spend time with the fellas or doing things that bring me joy, because we all know that when you're exactly thrilled and happy, the wife just has to say something to bring you down a notch. And so what I do is I say, honey, no problem. If I hang with the fellas, that equates to a date with you. So for the most part, it's like an equal ratio of about 1 to 1. How do you get away with it, Kevin? Because you said you basically, go to the bunker to watch football and be involved heavily in fantasy football. I know your wife is not just like, go ahead, Kevin, enjoy your time and just go do you. I'll be out here not spending money and just cleaning the house and handling business. I know she's not saying that. So what do you do to try and mitigate the time that you need personally alone, doing the things that you like?
So first off, for any of this to work, you got to have a wife that gives you a lot of room. She's got to give you a wide berth kind of thing. And so Sundays, my main football day, a lot of times what takes the pressure off is we have her mother over, which is very nice because we get to see your lovely aunt.
Yeah, my aunt's
my
the best.
mother-in-law. She is, what a wonderful lady. I love her. But she comes over to see the baby. She comes over to see Laura. And I just kind of like sneak off and they pop a bottle of wine or two. And pretty much I'm on my own recognizance until someone discovers me.
See, and that's a good time too, man. When you get a chance to watch football and there's no distraction, the kids aren't running around, there's nobody asking you to pay a bill or nothing unexpected happening. It's just a good feeling, And I tell people, because I do counsel couples, that it's very important that guys and girls have individuality. Do some stuff away from the couple, because so many couples, they get into this bad habit, Vito, of just wanting to do everything together, like watch football together, go to family functions together, go to friends things together. There's got to be some time where you separate from the missus, because it just lets you say things sometimes or think things that you're not supposed to, and just let it out. And guys got to be allowed to be guys. And so I'm thankful that Laura allows you to watch fantasy football, and I'm thankful my wife lets me go out Monday nights, every so often and hang out with the fellas. It's definitely important.
And then your wives allow you guys time to be suckered in by the Lions? I mean, because that can happen to a lot of us.
Yeah, right.
Watching them now at 3-4, and now Golden Tate has been dealt. That just went down and leading into the NFL trade deadline. And Kevin, I'll ask you first, what do you think about the deal involving Golden Tate?
I think that Philadelphia must have really wanted him, and what a force they've created for themselves. You got to make them the front runners coming out of the NFC East, in my opinion. They got the experience. Wentz is kind of finding his stride after the injury and the comeback, and Nick Foles isn't in his back window. A great move, and what a spend. And hopefully the Lions can turn that third-round pick into something. If they've brought the Patriots' way, let's use it and get some value for draft picks.
I think we've gotten two kind of distinct reactions on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. You got the hardcore fans that are looking at 2018, and they're like, wait a minute, have the Lions basically wave the white flag on this year. And you look at it and you go, man, removing one of your key contributors this year, it's not going to be too likely that this team is going to make the postseason. But, those of us that kind of watch the Lions and formulate opinions based upon the last couple games, you kind of realize this isn't really a good playoff team. So to make a move, it's a professional move by Bob Quinn in order to improve the ball club, because Golden Tate was going to leave for nothing. He's a free agent, so that means he's free to shop around and sign anywhere he likes, and he's going to want big money. He's not going to give us a hometown deal. So Bob Quinn made a professional move, and he got assets. And Kevin speaks to the biggest concern that fans have is those that say, this is a terrible move. What are you doing? It's a win-now league. Why are you getting rid of Golden Tate? This is a leader. This is a community guy. This is somebody that's important to the organization. They say, you know what? They're concerned that, wait a minute, Bob Quinn has some duds at the draft position in the first round, and some of the guys that he's brought in haven't contributed, like a Tease Tabor, like a Jared Davis. But, others will argue Kenny Galladay, some of the moves that he's made in free agency and trades have worked out. So he's around 50, 60% in terms of efficiency, but people are panicked when you have a known commodity like a Golden Tate versus a draft pick where a lot of times, to be honest, fellas, it's a crapshoot.
But at least I think, from his standpoint, Bob Quinn's standpoint, Golden Tate was picked up in free agency. So it's not like he was homegrown and a great draft pick that became this all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber wideout and the best wideout on the Lions. So I'll give him that much. And then he was set to leave the Lions in free agency. And I don't think Matt Patricia really wanted him around for next year, and it's the Patriots' way. Tate's never been a Patriot guy and he's been on some good teams with the Seattle Seahawks, but now it's been a couple of years as he's been with the Lions. And now you brought up trading the quarterback for the Lions, Matt Stafford, all of a sudden. I mean, ludicrous, blasphemous to me, and you bring it up on Twitter, and you lit everybody up, man, because everybody went wild after that tweet too, Doc.
Okay, before we talk about that, thumbs up or thumbs down, let's go around the room. Me, thumbs up on the Golden Tate. I'm fully invested in Bob Quinn. I do believe that he's making the right move, and he realizes this is not a playoff team. I know it's not a playoff team. Try your best to stockpile picks and talent. Thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up, too, because you're building for the future, and I want them to build for the future, and I think it proved to you that recent game against the Seahawks that Lions aren't going to win this year anyways.
Thumbs up for me, too, and, a credit to the Lions organization trying to get something for a proven asset on the way out. Smart football.
Very smart football. Now, here's what happened, okay? Because like everybody, I'm a Lions fan. I sit. Sometimes I'm not as lucky as Kevin, and I don't watch football alone. I got the kids running around, and they want my attention because Sunday is probably the only day I get a chance to kind of hang out at home a little bit. So I'm watching football, but I got the kids like one on each arm going, Daddy, Daddy. So I'm watching, but I definitely DVR the game and watch it late at night when I get a chance to watch fully in terms of play selection and things like that. So you look at that contest versus Seattle, a big game. It's like, come on, you got to step up. The Lions needed that victory. You're sitting at 3-3. It's a key opponent that you have to get the victory against if you want to have success this year. And they came out and they had a dud. And it was a terrible performance. It was a situation in which once Seattle got rolling, they dropped 3 touchdowns on you like that. And the Lions didn't answer. They did not play a solid game. And in the big games, Vito, what I see is Matthew Stafford sometimes doesn't rise to the occasion versus the primetime opponents. Russell Wilson did at 3-3. He stepped up and he had touchdown pass after touchdown pass. And Matthew Stafford, for whatever reason, turned the ball over. Some throws were a little bit errant. The offense had drive after drive after drive stall that resulted in a punt. So again, we have a situation now. We're sitting here recording a podcast talking about the Lions being under 500, not likely to make the postseason. And so, Vito, I get hundreds and hundreds of messages, especially during Lions games on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. And one person said, you know what? That idea about Stafford wasn't my idea. Somebody said, you know what? Jay Cutler got a haul from, the Bears gave the Broncos some first-round picks. He said, you know what? What if the Lions were willing to trade Stafford, maybe to a team that doesn't have a great quarterback, and like the Giants? What if, the Giants approached the Lions and said, hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. Would you guys make the deal? And I said, well, look, let's take out the scenario about the cap hit and things like that. It really speaks to a bigger question. Do you believe Matthew Stafford is the quarterback that's going to get us to the postseason consistently and get us wins? Because it's been a decade, and Kevin's probably sat and watched and gone, what is going on with this team? It's like one week it's great, we're all cheering, enjoying the beer. The next, we're throwing our beer at the TV going, what is up with this bum? Why are we giving $27 million? And so for me, I'm a doubter. I'm skeptical. I don't see it. Vito, it's a decade in, and he doesn't have a playoff win. And so, in those key moments, he hasn't delivered. And so I'm saying, you know what? I'm a little bit more open to the notion that maybe not this year, but in a couple years, if he doesn't have a trajectory of winning playoff games and getting to the Super Bowl, I'm ready to move on.
But the Lions, for me, now I'm the contrarian to this point of view from Doc, because I believe Stafford, you can win with them. And I think it comes down to the fact,
What's
do you
taking so
think you can
long?
win? Well, lack of quality supporting cast members. I look at it like that you're a product of the team that you're drafted by, that you're playing for, and the team that he's been playing for a lot of his career with the Lions hasn't been good enough to win. And they haven't won a division. They can't win in the playoffs. But once again, I base that largely upon his supporting cast members on defense, on offense. And now he has the weapons. But even when he had Kelvin Johnson, didn't have a ground game, didn't have the best secondary options. And then how about the defense? For me, you got to have the solid D and the solid O and D line. Guess what? One of the Lions had both a solid O-line and D-line. O-line, never. D-line, periodically with Ndamukong Suh, right? And Ansah, when he's healthy, will he ever even play it down with the Lions again? Maybe he won't. So for me, it's about the rest of the team, and it comes down to whether or not you truly believe that Stafford, with him as your franchise passer, you can win playoff games and make a Super Bowl run. And I believe that with a solid team around him, that Stafford can make that happen, Kevin.
And I agree with that. Obviously, the recipe is, a large part of the success of the team. But Stafford doesn't have that intangible where I feel like the game's in his hands, we're driving down. He doesn't give me that Aaron Rodgers feel. Aaron Rodgers is an assassin. Under a minute to go, no timeouts. Like, he is an assassin. Stafford, he doesn't make me feel that way. And is he ever going to get it? Probably not. I mean, he's a good quarterback. Rocket for an arm. His decision-making ability has improved with, as he's become more of a veteran, but doesn't have that quality where I feel good about the game in his hands at the end.
And really quick, Doc, you call him Pad Stafford. What's the phrase that you use regarding him? Because I don't like that either, because he's padding his stats because, well, the game's out of question, and not because of him largely. So he's padding his stats because what else is there to do for him? He's going to pad his stats. So I don't like that either, which I know you used that moniker recently on Twitter too.
The disrespectful nickname that kind of has surfaced online in the last couple years, not original to me, is Stat Padford, meaning that this is an individual that has big numbers, but a lot of his numbers are meaningless because of the fact that the Lions are always behind, and he's always delivering the goods when the Lions are down 2 and 3 touchdowns. Because what happens, Vito, and anybody that watches knows this because that's why the nickname kind of surfaced and has been perpetuated now for the last 3-4 years. Stat Padford kind of arose because of the fact that, the Lions are always playing from behind. And what happens is, naturally, defenses, they don't want to give up the home run ball like in one play, 10 seconds. So what they do is, when you're up 21-7 or 28-7, similar to what the Seahawks were, is that they play back. The safeties play back, and they let you do the underneath stuff where you can just pass the ball and get 10 yards a pass play. So what happens is Stafford always racks up these 2 and 3 touchdowns where they're in the fourth quarter where the defense isn't really trying. Most importantly is, when you look at what's going on with Matthew Stafford, you have to evaluate, how he performs against winning teams. And the record is abysmal because of the fact that, like Kevin said, to his point, great point, versus better opponents, you got to step up. You got to have more of something that's like leadership, integrity. You got to have this it factor that a guy like Patrick Mahomes now is starting to develop, like Tom Brady has, like Aaron Rodgers has, like Drew Brees has, the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the league. It's something where it's an undying commitment to winning, where there's no matter what's happening in his life with wife, kids, anything, the sole desire is to win. And I think now Stafford being married, getting that fat contract, I just don't see the undying, mitigating passion that no matter what, I step on that football field with the desire to be number one, and anything that gets in my way is absolutely going to be destroyed. Like, do you ever see Stafford getting in someone's face? How is it possible that under your leadership you play a game like that, and then a couple leaders after the game come out and say that the team wasn't focused in practice? That can't happen. You got to, grab that face mask and go get your ass in gear and let's go. We got to go out and get the job done. And I don't think that Bob Quinn trades Golden Tate if they win that game. And so everybody that's against Matthew Stafford says his numbers really aren't reflective of really his talent because they're meaningless. Well,
Well, he's Stat Padford, though, too, because of the fact that his team around him is so bad that they're down big in games. I don't think it's largely because of him. Now, a game against the Jets week 1 in the Monday Night Football opener to start the season, that was on Stafford largely. He was horrible. Yeah. But that was one of his most abysmal games ever as Lions starting quarterback. In his defense, there's really nothing close to that for Stafford. Now, should he have had that? I'm not excusing it and saying, well, that can't happen for him. No, it can't happen for him. And against the Seahawks, that's a game at home you probably should win. I acknowledge that as well. But remember, Ziggy Ansah's not playing. The running game's there now. But how about the defense? The rest of the defense, the secondary is miserable. I mean, so if they pass on you and score all the points, you got to play catch-up then because your defense sucks. Now, so remember that as well,
Here's
Doc.
Part of the argument I made online is that there's this great philosophy. And I understand the quarterback is a sexy position. It's the position. It's the position that gets paid. It's the excitement in the stands when he throws that deep bomb, and he's the guy orchestrating that offense, okay? But just look 1 year ago, okay? Wentz is the quarterback for Philly, the team now that Tate's going to. He goes down, blows out his knee. Nick Foles is now tasked with going out there and winning the Super Bowl. He's got to go through the playoffs and help that Eagles team win. Is that guy a franchise quarterback? He's not even playing right now, Vito. So what I'm saying is I just want to change the narrative a little bit and saying, look, because obviously it kind of suits my personality. You don't have to have the sexy quarterback making $30 million a year like that is out there in New England. And when a guy goes down, maybe like a Stafford, everybody would believe the season's over. But if you build a great offense, a great defense, build a great team, then you can just have a game manager, somebody that can just, get the ball 5 yards out, hand the ball off to a stud running back, rely on your defense, especially now that you got a defensive coach. I want to change the emphasis on spreading out money to more talented individuals as opposed to the quarterback who's making $27 million and is not worth the money he's getting paid.
Well, see, with Nick Foles, though, remember, he was on the Eagles, a lot of talent. Now, you did, admit that, it's about building maybe a system, too, and having that system in place
great system
before the quarterback takes over, which Nick Foles, he got into a system that was great for him, and he was able to succeed. But also, remember, he was relevant at one time before Nick Foles with the Eagles in his first stint with the Eagles, where they were flying high. He threw all those touchdowns, little to no interceptions, with Chip Kelly leading the way. So Foles was relevant at one point. So it doesn't apply to every single quarterback out there that's a backup or third stringer. Like Dan Orlovsky, do you think really you can just put him into any system and you're going to win with a bunch of talent around you? Not necessarily. So I don't think it's applicable to every single backup out there. Nick Foles was a relevant starting quarterback at one point that came into a great system. I think you can win with that, where Orlovsky was never good. You can't just take somebody that was never good and put them into a system that works.
Vito, you made a great point, and that's the argument people say is who's next? Okay, if it's not
Who's
Stafford,
the alternative solution? I agree with that, too.
That's Bob Quinn's job, is not to go replace Stafford with Orlovsky. It's to create a system that will allow the Detroit Lions to have a massive injury to the quarterback and then just next man up. Okay, you had a situation in which you have this team now that's heavily based on that offense when you got a defensive coach. And the offense isn't performing consistently versus the great teams. You look at it and you go, okay, you score 7 points versus the Seahawks. That's on Stafford. That's on the entire offense for not utilizing Galladay, the tight ends, and not making anybody better. I mean, Kevin can attest to this. He watched Eric Ebron drop 1 million balls and he got pissed off, and now he goes somewhere else and it's catching touchdowns. Why is that?
Dude is lighting it up in Indy. I saw him make a catch on Sunday. I was like, is that Ebron? I mean, for all of the bunking and all the bad press he got while he was here.
Now he's performing.
Is he a gem that got away? I mean, Andrew Luck is like using him as he's a real threat out there. So yeah, and to Doc's point about this is Quinn's job, this is his job. Like they're not going to get tied to a quarterback. And I know they gave him all the big money, but it's an eye on the prize league, and I think that they're just biding their time with him. They gave him the money because they had no other option, but are they stuck to him forever? No.
So the question I got to ask you, Kevin, being that you've been a Lions fan now for a long time and you've watched the ups and the downs, the entire Millen era, now with Bob Quinn and now the Patriot way, are you patient with this Lions team? Because you're watching the games, the fans are booing the Lions on like plays where they score field goals. They're booing the Lions when they're leading, when there are plays happening that they don't like. The fans in general, I kind of get a sense based upon the reaction I see online, is that they're not happy waiting because there's no guarantee that the future is going to bring us what we want. It's set up that way. It's being sold now with trading Golden Tate that way. But when you look at the Lions organization, it's really hard to ask your fan base to be patient when we've all been waiting. Now, I'm almost 40 years old and have only seen one playoff win in my entire lifetime. One. How can you ask this fan base to be patient? I don't even think people can execute it. I think you're going to see a lot of booing going forward. You're going to see a lot of losses. And I don't know how this organization can expect this fan base to be patient because I feel like we're starving.
Yeah, and what happens if they finish 6-10 this year? What if they finish
They're selling us on the
5-11?
future. They're selling us on draft picks.
You want to talk about an angry fan base now? Wait another year of this mediocrity. And going back to last year, the Lions had that 3-game window where they needed to win one of 3 games to take the division outright. When they kind of failed there, and that's the prior coaching regime and everything, but when they failed there, every Lions fan just kind of went through the last, for my lifetime, I'm a little bit older than Doc, but for the most part, it takes you back to that just lifetime of not winning. And we have waited too long. Last playoff win, 91?
91.
And I think 3 division titles in 60 years.
Horrible, despicable, right?
You're winning 1 per 20-year clip. I mean, what can you ask of this fan base that hasn't been asked already? And do they have more to give? Probably not.
To summarize, it's just tough to be a Lions fan and to ask for patience. I mean, you can see the vision, you can see the outline that it is more professional, that they're going to turn over players that are going to be free agents. They're going to rely on younger players. They have a cap that they have to work under. But it's just so hard to say, yeah, it's going to work out, because what happens next year when you go out and draft a guy and maybe he doesn't pan out? You have 7 draft picks. You're lucky if 3 of them are going to contribute. And then you look at it and you go, Minnesota's still there. Green Bay is going to be a tough out every single year with Aaron Rodgers. And Vito, we're looking at it and we're evaluating the quarterback. It's a position that's super important. And are we going to have to wait until Stafford's 37 years old to have any monicum of success? He's getting paid like a Drew Brees. He's getting paid like a guy that's won a Super Bowl. So the criticism, I think, is fair, but I'm not a guy that's just going to blindly be like, yeah, I'm a Stafford supporter, when, you know what, you don't get credit for being the best Lions quarterback ever. I don't compare Stafford to Orlovsky. I don't compare Stafford to Joey Harrington. I don't compare him to Charlie Batch. I compare him to Tom Brady. I compare him to Joe Montana. I compare him to the all-time greats. And what does he look like compared to them? And for my opinion, a comparison that I don't want to go down, but it's now looking like he's like a Dan Marino, a Jim Kelly, a guy that gets, a little bit of success, but can't get over the hump, like an Alex Smith. And you go, I don't want to pay a guy to be Alex Smith. I want to pay Joe Montana. And that's just the argument I'm going to make day in and day out, and I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions. Kevin, a lot of people told me to F off with the Stafford question, but I liked it. I told people, wow, you came in strong. I like the engagement. I like the passion. We got over 300 responses of people going, yes, no, do it, not do it, the cap. It was a definitely great tweet and debate. And anytime you bring up Stafford, it draws attention. Anybody can discuss Stafford in that. And there's a lot of people that support him. I understand why. He is the best that we've ever seen, but it's not good enough. And that's okay to say that, Vito, look, we do a podcast and we compare ourselves to others like the Drew and Mike podcast or others that do this. And we go, hey, we're doing a good job, but let's get more sponsors. Let's do more shows. Let's work on getting the product out faster. I don't just go, we made it. We're great. Let's just be the Detroit Sports Podcast. I want Kevin to listen and go, damn, that's really good. I want to listen again. I want to come back. I want to call up Doc and be like, this was the funnest 2 hours I ever had. And that's what you got to keep striving for, is that in football and in life, really, you meet goal A, you got to get goal B. And right now, they're not even at goal A. They can't even get to the playoffs. You got to ask for more.
But guys, if you trade Stafford, don't you feel like he comes back to haunt the Lions? He goes and wins with another organization.
So be it.
And I know you want to just try. You say, hey, just let it happen and see what happens. But also goes back to a point you made too. Who's the alternative solution? And then you admitted it yourself. We don't know if we can trust Bob Quinn in the draft. So you trade Stafford for 2 first-rounders. What are those first-rounders going to amount to? And then remember, not every quarterback that you draft is a home run hit. You're not going to hit on every quarterback that you draft. And the guys that recently have become home run quarterbacks or elite guys and guys that really teams are building around, such as Patrick Mahomes, nobody totally, or people did, but not a lot of people or everybody didn't totally view him as a home run hit. Didn't think that of Patrick Mahomes. How about Drew Brees coming out of Purdue? He was too small. How about Russell Wilson coming out of Wisconsin? He was too small. He was a 3rd rounder. How about Tom Brady? He wasn't a home run hit when he came out of the draft. That's why he waited until the 6th round to be drafted out of Michigan by the Patriots. So remember that as well. Even Aaron Rodgers had to wait, remember. And people didn't know he would be as great as he has become, too, out of Cal.
I'll leave you with this. I just think that the emphasis on the quarterback here in Detroit might not be the best emphasis. Emphasize that defense. Emphasize the offensive line.
So if you do that, you can win with Stafford. You can win with Stafford. So it defeats the purpose of trading him.
But that's what you've been working on for the last 6 years. Where's the results?
Well, now we got to see it starting with next year's draft. I think it has come to that we want to see results, and you're right.
Here's why I'm going to win the argument.
Okay.
If you don't win with the best wide receiver that the organization has ever seen in Calvin Johnson.
How about the defense? I mean, you still got to go back. It's not just a one. How about Drew Brees? He's had many years of being just, all right with the team just being all right around him, and the team doesn't do great because of that. So just because he's great, he's not throwing many INTs and throwing a lot of touchdowns. Have the Saints always won? They won the one Super Bowl, and that's it, remember. They're not always making the playoffs. So
there's
that point, too.
A very fair argument, but I'm saying that I'm going with a different philosophy of just a little bit less heralded quarterback and a world-renowned defense and running game and things like that, things that have been proven to win. I don't need the quarterback, at least in Detroit. I don't need him zinging the ball over the place for 5,000 yards and getting 9-7 every year. I'd rather take a Mahomes or somebody
Mahomes, you can't. You just said no.
You
just said you rather or you would settle for. You're not settling. That's a top-tier quarterback. They don't just grow on trees, though.
That'd be great.
My point would be how about Alex Smith? Would you take him on?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, there we go. So Stafford's better than Alex Smith.
That's $1 million question. Could Alex Smith win
because you
this
talked
offense?
about settling for a quarterback, a lesser quarterback. Yeah. Well, right now Mahomes is a top-tier quarterback. You're not settling for that. You're upgrading with Mahomes. Well, so think about a quarterback.
Is he a top-tier quarterback or a top-tier system?
Tough to say right now because he's young.
Well, no, it's
but
not tough.
Right now, I think he looks like he's good without a system.
Alex Smith looked good, and they want more.
Do you think it's a system there because of Andy Reid?
Yes.
In KC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He put up numbers everywhere. So I give credit to Mahomes. He's doing some great things, but
so you're saying, but you're admitting
system.
You're settling. You be
system.
So you be downgrading, going from Stafford to Mahomes. I just want you to say that.
What I think needs to happen is an offensive system that you can plug and play any quarterback in and not pay him $27 million. That's just my thinking.
And maybe, Kevin, Jim Bob Cooter's the problem, too. I mean, they've kept him for all these years, Jim Bob Cooter, and they kept him with the new regime led by Matt Patricia. I don't think I love Jim Bob Cooter that much either.
Well, I think the jury is definitely still out, and it would be great to have that system where you could kind of interchangeable, plop a guy in, plop a guy out. To go back to the original thought about would you trade Stafford for 2 first-round picks, for all the respondents that would say no, I would say, okay, let's put Stafford and compare him just to the quarterbacks in his division. We're talking Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Stafford, Trubisky. Now next year, that order might be Rodgers, Cousins, Stafford, Trubisky. Now, next year, I think that gap between Trubisky and Stafford closes. So I think about where he's at, even in his own division, before you say you would not give up 2 first-round picks for him. Because if I'm the GM, where do I sign?
So, Kevin, you think Kirk Cousins is better than Matt Stafford, too? Because I view them as being pretty equal.
I actually do. When I spoke earlier about how when the ball is in Stafford's hands at pivotal moments in the game, I don't have that good feeling. I have a much better feeling with Cousins. I think that he's a calm, cool, and collected. And in my opinion, he's better.
Great discussion about the Lions. Always, when you talk about Stafford and the Lions, it draws passion. Feel free. If you've liked what you've heard, if you don't like what you've heard, leave us a voicemail, 248-579-8686. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can say whatever, 248-579-8686. Message us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. We'll read it and engage in some great sports conversation. All right, Vito, time for a timeout. We'll come back. Second half of this podcast, we got to talk about something that happened at a Red Wings game with my wife, and we'll talk about the like tweet of the week, and you have some concerns about some things that the president has been saying.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll always spice it up here on Two Bad Hombres. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And let's get to our sponsors, and 2 sponsors for this week's episode on every single episode of Two Bad Hombres, and starting with Legacy Football. And the Legacy Football organization was founded in 2009, and it is a premier offseason development program in the state of Michigan, in the Midwest, and in the entire U.S. of A. And the program provides unique platforms for student athletes on and off the field through community service, social awareness, education, and football. And the staff of Legacy Football features former NFL players and even Lions greats, such as former wideout Herman Moore. Now, to find out more about Legacy Football and all that they do, please contact National Director of Football, Justin Cesante, or go online to www.legacyfootballorg.com. And now to our other fine sponsor of Two Bad Hombres, and that is Top Cat Sales, led by former U of M Rose Bowl winning quarterback John Wangler, who founded the company in 1999. And since then, he has established incredible relationships with many entities, many high school teams, many club teams, corporations, and small businesses. And to get outfitted with Adidas apparel and other apparel brands from Top Cat, please contact Top Cat Sales Monday through Friday by calling up 248-246-1054. And once again, the phone number is area code 248-246-1054. And remember to follow Top Cat Sales on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
All right, everybody, thank you for downloading another episode on our network. We're available anywhere that podcasts can be downloaded. Podbean, Podbay, Stitcher, Podomatic, our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Should be no reason why you're not finding the great shows here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Now, I've teased it, and I'm definitely interested to get your guys' take on it. Now, this is not something that happened when I was there. So the missus got invited. Andrea got invited to go to a Red Wings game from her friend. So her friend messaged her and said, hey, I got tickets. Let's go down to the game. And so, she goes. The Red Wings won. They beat Dallas.
They won a game, actually. Look at that. Red Wings won a game.
Their first home game
What
of
game
the
was
year.
that?
Dallas game. Yeah, exactly.
2 wins now, I think?
Yeah, exactly. The first home game at LCA in which they got the 2 points. And so we were recapping it. I'm like, hey, how are the seats? What'd you guys end up doing? And she tells the story of battling traffic to get down there because that was the same time around the time that the Lions were exiting was the time the Red Wings started. So it took them a little while. They got there a little bit late. So they get into the arena and they head to a bar to get a couple drinks. Well, she's like, yeah, some guy hit on me. I'm like, whoa, what? I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? And so she goes, yeah, we were standing at the bar. It's a little bit cramped. And some guy kind of brushed her hair and blew on her neck. And I'm like, whoa.
Interesting to say the least there.
And I was like, wait a minute, rewind. First thought in my head was, why are you telling me this? Wow. Second, I'm like, did it go any further? She's like, no, of course not. And I'm like, okay, good. And I'm like, then the thought that enters my mind is, why don't you do something like move? Because she was, I guess she froze and things like that. But she said, hey, I'm married. The guy didn't care. And so,
hey, some guys don't. That is true, right?
And it was a bigger guy, but they were in a bar setting, so she kind of quickly moved away. And so, listen, for those that don't know, I've been married now 8 years going on 9. I trust my wife. We've never strayed either way in that regards. But she's an attractive lady, and she does get hit on a little bit more than I'm comfortable looking.
And more than you get hit on.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were going to say that, actually.
Exactly.
And admit that, but it's true, yeah.
So 2 questions. Should she have told me this? And 2, don't you think maybe she's got to learn some Taekwondo action? Like, get your shit off me, man. Don't touch me. And don't be so vulnerable to let some guy blow on your neck. I'm like, come on, babe. You can't be doing that.
But you don't expect that to happen at a Red Wings game. I don't care how attractive you are. Like, when you're getting blown on by a guy, I don't want to make it sound like that, but, where the guy's blowing in your ear or whatever on your neck, that is weird, and you don't know how to react. Like, I don't know how I would react. I guess I'm in the same boat as you, but we're not getting hit on all the time. But women will a lot, and especially I think men nowadays, how I view it, men don't care if you got a ring on, too. Now, she wears her wedding ring, right? So guys don't care at times. If they're attracted to the woman enough, they're going to try. They're going to shoot their shot and see what happens, Kevin, I think.
Yeah, definitely the risk takers out there. And so what's up with this guy's game? Blowing on a woman's neck?
That's weird.
That is pretty strange. And so your wife told you. My wife, my wife knows she could never tell me anything like that. Okay. Not only would it ruin my day, but if I was still in the place where it happened, there might be a ruckus. And so my wife, discretion is the better part of valor. She would not even tell me. She knows better than to tell me. And so if the roles are reversed, like if I feel I'm getting hit on, it happens from time to time, I will try to downplay it, get out of the situation as quick as I can because I don't ever want that, and obviously, so how did you end up handling it?
No, I laughed it off, but the first thought was like, I don't want to know these things. I'm like, come on, there's some things that you don't have to tell me. Like, you know what, I trust you.
That's off limits. You don't want to hear about that from your wife, huh?
It didn't ruin my day. It ruined like 10 seconds. I'm like, ugh, like I don't want to know this, and let's move on to something else. And I'm like, basically going into the mode of how do you prevent this in the future? I don't want this, when you go out with your lady friends and you go out to the bars, be careful because, probably I would assume based on the question that you asked, this guy probably was maybe a couple drinks in and was just a little bit loose and like, hey, baby, what up?
And you said it was a bigger guy, too? Because you have no chance, defeating a bigger guy. So you're scared of that anyway. So you don't want that happening because you're not going to beat him up. He's going to beat you up.
Yeah. And so when ladies hit on me, I just, say, hey, put your number in my phone. We'll talk.
We'll talk later, Andrea. No big deal, Andrea.
We'll Snapchat later, right? Just kidding. No, it's really interesting the way in which sometimes some people can try and be so overt, trying to pick up ladies and things like that. Especially one that's wearing a wedding ring, right? So should I clamp down and not let her go out anymore without me?
No, you can't.
That'd be stupid. I bet some guys would say that though. They get so jealous.
Yeah, but you'll only be hurting your man time,
and then your relationship with her, right? So it hurts your man time.
Well, sure.
Right?
If you start limiting the go out factor for the spouse, then obviously your time will be cut too. And I think that the guy probably just speaks to this borderless society we have. People do not have that
respect boundaries.
That respect boundary. Correct. That normally we would have had 20, 30 years ago. It's
unusual, right?
It's where we're at. Unfortunately,
people don't see red lights very easily, do they?
No.
In many aspects of life. I think with that guy too, he didn't see a red light there with your wife, even though she had that wedding ring on.
No, the good thing about me is I'm really kind of laid back and passive. Try to limit things and keep things moving and keep it light and things like that because I got a stressful job. So you look at it and you go, in those situations, I just would have been like, bam, popped him in the mouth and kept it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you like to tell yourself you would have done that. You would have been scrambling out of the way as fast as you possibly could.
Now you sound like me. Exactly. And and you learn those things over the years. Obviously, Doc's approach is much better. The calm, cool, collected, but it takes time for a man to mature to that point, and I think that speaks to the kind of man you are.
So one question, because I married an American girl. What's it like being married to a Lebanese, independent, strong woman?
Oh, it's fantastic. So number one, Lebanese women are so beautiful. Like,
yeah, they are, yeah.
I really hit the jackpot.
And Italian and Chinese.
Italian, everybody, every single ethnicity. Remember, come on.
No,
I'm a fan of every woman.
Yeah, right, I know you are too.
I am too.
But you got a point. No, I know what you're trying to say.
I am too. And so it's been a really great experience. So just a small bit of personal background. I'm an only child. I came from a home of a divorced family. Anyway, my wife's family has been so open arms to me, and from day one, they've been telling me like, your family, your family, your family. And you know what? Finally, that struck with me, where I think about them as family, and they kind of are the family that I didn't have, and it's a good sized family, and the bond is very strong. So nothing but positive to say. Getting married was the best thing I ever did, and hoping the good times can continue.
That's right. Cousin Laura's the best. She let him come here, and she was definitely super excited, and my cousins are the best. I mean, I got great family, and when you look at it, anything in regards to family just involves, positivity and embracing, this new era of inclusion and things like that. So I'm glad that my family wasn't like, oh, you got to marry a Lebanese guy, or just marry somebody that's nice to you, makes a lot of money, and because
that's really important.
We definitely
Where's that guy? Where's that guy?
Where's that guy?
Yeah.
Where is that guy?
Yeah,
Where's that guy?
right?
No, and Kevin's a great addition to the family. He's a good guy, great at family gatherings, and really personable too. That's what you look for. For me personally, is that I'm more laid back, so I'm more into people that come up to you and say, "Hey, what are you about? What did that?" So then
I'll talk and talk. I bet
exactly
talk your ear off.
Yeah,
on the podcast network.
And so the great thing about Kevin is he always kind of leaves enough time where we can talk about him behind his back. So that's really good. And cousin Laura always likes that. No, Kevin's a good guy, and it's a great addition to the family. And obviously, he loves talking sports. Big poker player, great fantasy football. You said your record was 5-3. You're doing pretty good.
5-3 with a bullet, moving up the ranks.
Very good.
So I was projected after the draft to win 0 of 0 games by Yahoo.
Look at that.
And you know what? Last year they projected me to win 3 games. I won the championship going away.
Nice. Defending champ.
Total smash out.
I'm sitting at 4-4.
He knows what he's doing, obviously.
I'm sitting 4-4, kind of meddling, but I got Aaron Rodgers and I got Kamara. But right now, this week, I'm hitting the bye situation with the Eagles. So I'm a little bit pinching, struggling to find some replacements. That's where I'm at.
So you guys are mature men. I think I am too. Is Andre Drummond one? I want a second of that. Now, the two Bad Hombres like tweet of the week. He tweeted out this past week. Here it is now. I am a man of the people and love all Detroit fans. But this is why when media ask, do we play for the fans? And we say no, nothing satisfies them. Which is why I always say I'm worried about the guys I have in my locker room. And that was in response to Rod Beard, who tweeted out #Pistons, fans are hilarious. Past few seasons, team isn't winning enough. This season, team isn't winning by enough. And now, are they not losing by enough? Because they just got blown out by the Celtics. Anyways, to this tweet from Andre Drummond, Doc, what is your response to it?
Real quickly, it's just one that sometimes you don't have to make. And so, obviously, he hears that a lot of people don't respect the Pistons. And just quickly, it's tough to garner respect when you don't make the playoffs consistently, when you've gotten a coach fired, when night in, night out, you don't give the best effort. So sometimes, Andre, he's a little bit of a loose cannon, and sometimes you don't say things like that. Look, you don't have to be rah-rah all about the fans, but the number one thing that I think athletes have to remember is the fans are the customers. So you're rich because the fans show up to the building. So just don't include fans in your tweets, period. Just say, look, you know what? If the fans don't think that we're winning by enough, if they think that we've beaten bad teams to start the year 4-1, look, our job is to show them that we're a playoff team, and we have to give them a reason to cheer really super loud, and I love Detroit. That's all you got to say. Really, the PR game is so easy. And
it should be, but it's not for these guys that are easily butthurt, too, like Andre Drummond.
Yeah, and if I'm making that much money, I'm going to pay somebody to be professional online. Pay Vito.
I'll do it.
Exactly.
Pay me something.
Vito comes affordably, so I think that you got to be careful of what you say online, and you can't talk about the fans.
Well, Andre Drummond is easily butthurt. To reiterate that phrase, I love that term, that phrase. I think it really is applicable to Andre Drummond, Kevin.
Yeah, I totally agree. What a great word, that butthurt. It's a summation of, so many things like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the crying millionaire, as a fan base, I feel like all I want from them is respect. They don't have to love me. Just respect the fan base, because we do ultimately pay their salaries. We are coming to the LCA. We are getting the $20 pizza, So don't love us, just respect us. That's all we can ask for.
Real simple, keep your tweets professional. Don't talk about the fans.
Respect the fans, and the fans have the right to be critical. Now, tweet out something that's, valid and is all right, is, socially acceptable. Well, I think our president even has a problem with that, though, because he just brought up, Andre Drummond. We were talking about him being maybe not mature and being butthurt a lot. Well, I think our president is, too. And he keeps blaming his faults on the media, calling the media the enemy of the people. And then he's calling you and I out subsequently, Doc, because I guess we're media now. And I don't think it's the right thing for the man in the Oval Office being this, big-time leader on the world level, too, as a leader of the U.S. of A., as the president. It's not a good look for him when he's tweeting out and saying this kind of stuff about the media being the enemy of the people, Doc.
I can agree, and here's my stance on what you said in terms of how the president gets down. And it's similar to athletes, too, because when you start getting to the locker room and you start talking to the athletes when they sit across from me on the one-on-one specials, nobody likes really being criticized. Nobody likes to hear, or to see in print, oh, Doc thinks Andy Dirks is insufficient, or Doc thinks that Andre Drummond can't make free throws and he can't lead the team, or, the Tigers, they hired a terrible manager in Brad Ausmus. They don't want to hear that. And so sometimes they're a little bit guarded in what they say back to the media. They want positive PR. And that's what the president wants. And he's come out and he wants it so that a lot of people are in his favor. And he's got a big Twitter platform to try and achieve it. Would I use the words enemy of the people? No, it's a little bit strong. What I would say, though, and I think rational people can admit, is the media is a little bit biased in that certain networks will report only on certain things that they feel the president's doing that's not efficient, because he's done some good things, and some networks will choose to then just say, oh, the president's doing irrational things, he's saying irrational things, and then replay that all day and night. And other networks go, hey, the president's maybe not supposed to be saying this, but he's doing this in the economy, and, he's gotten a lot of judges in. He's done what he said he's going to do. So right now, the media is not the enemy of the people, but true journalism is not to take stances. It's to find the truth. And so, unfortunately, you can't call these networks and the media true journalists. What's happening is there's a little bit of a bias, and they take a stand, and they report based on that. And some shows and hosts do a little bit better job than others. But, the president, like anybody else, wants favor, and he probably should try and get it a little bit in a better way. And he uses strong language. He tries to rally the troops in a way that can lead some crazy people to maybe act out. But I wouldn't go that route in terms of saying that the media is the enemy of the people. They're there, but they can do a lot better job.
I think that the idea of the media, in a vacuum is good for the people. But I think that the media has become an actual enemy of the people. When news and journalism became a tailored to an audience big business, media actually became the enemy of the people, because it is biased, and certain networks will only show this, and certain networks will only show that. And I think it's a slippery slope. And obviously the media has a place. It's hard to call this big rolling online presence, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, true media in the sense that we used to say media like news reporting. And I think that there's a place for it, and it should be used for good, not bad. But unfortunately, it's big business. And I also find it hypocritical that Trump is actually condemning the media, yet his online presence makes him one of the biggest components of the current media.
Yeah.
He is such a mouthpiece. I mean, he is the media.
Yeah.
You know?
If he wanted more positivity, he could just stay away for a few months and just kind of focus on policy, talk less. He'd probably be talked about less.
Yeah.
And you're
he
not
dominates.
a dictator.
Yeah.
There's a democracy. You're the U.S. president, so there is a democracy, meaning media has a right to criticize you and to be critical of you, and when it feels the need to, it's going to be critical of you, and you have to deal with it. You're the president. You think Barack Obama didn't hear some stuff, racial slurs directed at him? I mean, and other presidents in the past that got criticized, George W. Bush as well, they dealt with it better. Now, they didn't all have Twitter when they were in office, but President Obama did. Did you ever see him go attack somebody that called him racist on Twitter? No. And you have to be presidential as well, and I don't think Trump's always been that. And I've made that known, I know, to you, Doc, in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I think that everybody involved, the media and the president, can do a little better job in terms of giving their message and giving just the facts. But remember, guys, the CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they're a business, and they are a for-profit business, meaning that more eyes, more money for advertising. So they sometimes will run, when the president, when he was running, grab him by the pee. The CNN played that like 50,000 times. Why? And so Fox, they'll keep promoting his speeches and things that he said and the economy and things like that. True journalism is about facts, but that's boring. And so the media in general, you got to remember, for those that are listening, it's a for-profit situation. So it's not exactly true journalism. But in the end, when everybody knows the situation, pick your side. If you want to, hear situations that are maybe a little bit critical of the president, go to CNN. If you want to hear a little bit more pro-Republican, pro-conservatives, go to Fox. And, I don't know about MSNBC because I don't watch it.
I think it's more in the middle, but CNN is definitely slanted towards liberals.
Yes.
Fox News slanted towards Republicans, staunch Republicans. Yes. So the viewpoints about Trump are going to be much more positive on Fox News. And you have to know that going into watching these networks, what you're going to get out of them and their pundits, too.
You got it.
And a lot of these guys, they're journalists, but they're opinion-based journalists. So, and I think that has caused some disarray, too, in the past with media. And now, not everybody is truly a journalist, too. Like, you and I, really, we're not journalists. We're opinionists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like these people that write up these op-eds, right, that are writers in these newspapers like the New York Times. So we got to remember that and take that into account as well, I think, when you look at media and what they're trying to do and what they're paid to do as well for these networks.
Yeah, and so, I have young kids, and the generation coming up doesn't know that there's a difference between talking heads and actual political pundits that are serving up a viewpoint. And, we're a part of that last great generation of where, pre-internet, the line is so blurred, it's mediatainment, it's edutainment, and there is no division.
Now, Vito, to end the podcast, you have a question for us. I think you want to pose to me and Kevin regarding whether you should party in terms of how you want to celebrate the great holiday in October, Halloween.
Well, speaking of being entertaining, now, wearing a Halloween costume, do you have to wear a Halloween costume to a Halloween party where there is a costume, kind of a mandate to wear a costume? Do you feel like because of that, did that scream to you right there that you have to? And when I say wear a costume, I wore a jersey over the weekend last weekend. It was just a basketball jersey, Charles Barkley jersey. Way too tight for me, but I thought it was funny, and that's why I wore it. Cool. And my buddy Nick Schmiegel wore a Dennis Rodman or Patrick Ewing jersey, who played for the Knicks. And my Charles Barkley jersey was a Rockets jersey. So do you dress up, go all the way and try to win a costume award? Or is it fine just to kind of just put on a jersey like I did, Doc?
How I've done it is if I've been invited to a trunk or treat where other adults will be wearing costume, I do. Now,
what kind? Do you go all out, though, I'm saying? Or do you just wear something simple? It's easy for you to...
$20, something that you can get at Walmart, like a teddy
something
bear.
simple, cheap.
Yeah,
a bargain kind of costume.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's a kid's party and it's kind of a pick or choose, I'll go no, because it's a hassle to get all dressed up and things like that. Now, in latter years, I have kind of gone to a little bit more Halloween type stuff at bars and stuff like that, but it's not something I really enjoy. It's something fun to see, people dress up and have some cocktails and things like that, but it's not my preference. My preference is more to sit back, watch some sports, have a conversation, smoke some hookah. That's more my style of what I like to do. But I think that if you make a choice to show up to a Halloween costume party without a costume, you should be thrown out.
I've actually approached this both ways, where I've gone to a costume party intentionally not wearing a costume, and I've played along where I've worn a costume. And I got to say, you got to wear the costume because you will be such a pariah if you don't wear this costume.
But maybe you like being the guy that's riling up everybody and being the pariah. I mean, if you don't want to hear all the criticisms and hear people asking you left and right, hey, why didn't you wear a costume? I guess, well, you better wear a costume then, right?
My biggest problem with a costume is that I don't like to be fettered by things or have like paint on me. So that's my only problem. But you go to the party.
Yep.
Hopefully there's beer. You have a
So-
couple beers, and then you
Yeah.
don't care, and you're looking at all the other dads with paint on their face, and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah, Vito, you're in your 20s, so enjoy the next 5 years. Maybe the barrier's like 30. You can stop wearing a costume.
I can
Enjoy it.
finally
the
stop
next
wearing a
5 years.
costume,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stop wearing a costume. But you did. I'm proud of you.
I still did. I did it.
Good.
It was pretty lame, I think, the attempt, but I still donned a costume, so I can say that much.
Good for you, Vito. Good job. All right, man. What
Great choice in costume.
great choice of
Thank
costume.
you. Thank you. I'm a sports guy. I mean, I guess that screamed it too, right? By wearing that jersey.
Man, when you have a good time, time flies. We've been recording for an hour. Kevin has been awesome. A great addition to the family. I look forward to having future conversations with him on these podcasts. He enjoys our podcast and others as well. Thank you, everybody, for downloading. You can support us easily and free at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. Any social media presence for you, or are you kind of laid back?
I try to keep myself out of trouble, so
Okay.
my presence is very small, but
Okay.
I might get on Twitter for
Okay.
a fantasy football tool.
Very good.
Well, John's a Twitter addict.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's going to be on Twitter the rest of his life probably. Now, it's been an entertaining podcast with you,
Yes.
Kevin. Thanks for coming in. Really quick, you said you like hookah?
I do.
You've never said that once on these airwaves.
No, I do.
First time you've ever said it, though, to me.
oh, it's
I think
not-
off the airwaves, on the airwaves, too.
And I think it speaks to your point that sometimes stereotypes do apply. And I think
Uh-huh.
most Middle Eastern men and a lot of people in this area do like to partake in that form of smoking. I do love hookah. There's like one on every corner, Vito. Have you popped into one? You have
I
to-
haven't. I've never.
Really? You never
I
popped
think
into
I
one?
maybe have done or vaped once.
Okay.
But one time, like, I'm not
Okay.
a consistent user.
Okay. That's something we all can get together.
You can show me how you do it.
Exactly.
You live it up.
Exactly. I'll show you what it's about, and it's a great way for you to interact socially. Maybe Vito is a prime candidate to marry a Lebanese gal.
I
If there's somebody in the family,
I
a
think it could
Lebanese
happen.
woman.
It could
I
happen.
think it could
I like the
happen.
food already too. My uncle's Lebanese, so
So-
the Saad family. So there we go. I got some kind of that in my life.
Okay, so maybe we'll take Vito out for hookah. We'll all get together and have some laughs and continue off the air this great conversation that we had. Great topics, Vito. I'm so glad I put you in charge of these topics. Kevin brought the noise. It was such a great time. I can't wait to hear the reaction from the family and what he thought of this. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for listening to podcasts. We greatly appreciate it.
And I pretty much showed up on time. I'll leave it at that. Adios, everyone.